Good evening and welcome to the news at 6 with me, Tracy Shilchi. In the next 30 minutes, we'll be getting you all the day's top stories, what's developing, and also some criticism coming in for the Modi government's economic policies just days ahead of the budget. What does that mean? We'll put that in perspective. But before that, quick check of the headlines. Political heat mounts in Bihar ahead of the Assembly Trust vote tomorrow. 4 rebel JDU MLAs are barred from voting. The Speaker awards Leader Opposition status to the JDU. Impatience creeping in among businessmen, says HDFC boss Deepak Parekh, expresses apprehension over Modi government's economic policies. Opposition demands answers. Prime Minister Modi launches centrally sponsored soil health card scheme in Rajasthan to benefit 14 crore farmers across the country to help improve productivity. And Ukraine calls for UN peacekeepers to keep the fragile ceasefire in the country in place. Truce shows signs of giving way in many places. Our special focus. The first rumblings are being heard in the Indian industry against the Modi government on its not doing enough on the ground to implement its high-pitched economic reforms agenda. HDFC chairman Deepak Parekh said that there's little happening on actually easing procedures for doing business in India. That is the thrust of the Make in India program.
Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra
It's the first real jibe at Prime Minister Modi's ambitious Make in India program, and the fact that it comes from leading industrialist Deepak Parekh makes it vitriolic enough. In the latest interview to PTI, Parekh said, and I quote, "After 9 months, there is impatience creeping in as to why no changes are happening and why this is taking so long having effect on the ground. The optimism is there but is not translating into revenues." The criticism comes as much-needed ammunition for the opposition, an added weapon after the BJP's drubbing in the Delhi elections.
It's ironical that the corporate cheerleaders of this government have already started groaning and moaning and carping about the policy paralysis in the government.
बयान बहादुर नेता हैं, बयान बहादुर प्रधानमंत्री हैं। अगर इनका बस चले तो ये देश में आंकड़ों में खेती करके दिखा दे। इनकी सरकार बनने के 9 महीने बाद उद्योग के अंदर भी बड़ी सुस्ती आई है, विदेशी निवेश घटा है, रोजगार के अवसर घटे हैं।
The BJP rejects the idea, saying the Prime Minister has enough to show in terms of real achievements.
With all due respect to Mr. Deepak Parekh, I would state that during this short period of Mr. Modi's regime, the central government that we have seen a change in the growth rate of India. Growth has improved. We have seen that the inflation, which was in double digits previously, has come down, has been contained.
HDFC chairman Deepak Parekh has a reputation for being vocal with his views on reforms and policy measures undertaken by various governments. He was among the first to attack the UPA for alleged policy paralysis after a spate of corruption scandals. Parekh cites low global commodity prices and other factors that have aided the present government and stresses the need for much more if policy initiatives are to have the desired impact. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Put this in perspective, coming that it is just days before the budget session. Let's speak to Himanshu Watts, who's the senior editor of Economic Times, joining us in studio. Good evening, Himanshu. Just give us a sense, really, of what this means to the Modi government, considering that Deepak Parekh himself was quite a Modi supporter, and he himself questioning, does it really mean the honeymoon period's over?
Well, I wouldn't say honeymoon period is over in a wider sense, but yes, as far as the industry is concerned, many of them had expectations that after the Modi government, their own businesses will, accelerate and do much better. Perhaps that's not happening. But I think it's premature to say that, things are not really happening on the ground because, in these 9 months, at the wholesale level, inflation has been completely controlled. There's actually a deflation in the last data. Consumer inflation has been controlled. There is some signs of activity in the capital goods sector. Industrial growth is still not there. And I think if you really want to judge Modi government for its economic policies, you should wait at least one more week when you see his first full-fledged budget. Before that, I think it's premature to say. But yes, there is some restlessness among the industrialists.
Absolutely. Does this put extra pressure on Arun Jaitley?
Well, not too much, I think, because, as far as this government is concerned, going by the various statements, they have a 5-year plan. And they will be going back to the voter for their accountability after 5 years, or now 4.25 years. And as far as pressure on Arun Jaitley is concerned, this really is his first full-fledged budget. And this is a budget where, more than other budgets, he'll have some room to take tough decisions. Because also there is no immediate state assembly election. Bihar election is towards the end of the year. So this is actually the best window for some stern, strong policy action. There would, of course, be a few things to please people, and this government is very good at marketing them. But I don't think there will be that much pressure simply because a particular spokesman for the industry has criticized him.
All right, and very quickly, of course, since we are on the topic of the budget, is it going to be a good budget for the industry?
One would expect that, given the government's focus on infrastructure particularly, and infrastructure is really one big bleeding point for many industrialists, whether it's the power sector, whether it's the telecom sector, whether it is roads. There's been a lot of trouble there. And this has been the stated intention of the government, that they want to set things right. In the road sector, there is already visibility of things shaping up. There's a lot of expectation in green energy.
Yes.
So with all these incentives, there would certainly be some fillip to the industry. So one can expect positive things for industry from the budget.
All right, Himanshu Vats of the Economic Times, thanks so much for joining us and giving us a perspective really ahead of budget. What is it really that the Modi government is going to be facing, and the kind of, expectations really from Arun Jaitley. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll keep an eye out on all the business-related stories. But right now, let's head to politics. And in a setback for Bihar Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi, the Patna High Court today barred 4 JDU MLAs from voting in the upcoming floor test in the Assembly tomorrow. The order is likely to have a substantial effect on Manjhi's support. Meanwhile, the Assembly Speaker overruled the BJP to give the leader of opposition status to the JDU.
The battle lines are becoming sharper in Bihar. All indications suggest that the BJP will support Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi in the floor test on Friday.
नीतीश कुमार जी तो केवल सत्ता के स्वार्थ में एक महादलित को अपमानित करने का काम किया है। कल हम लोगों ने विधायक दल की बैठक की थी। हम लोगों ने विधायकों से जमीनी फीडबैक लिया है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के आम विधायकों की राय थी जितन राम मांझी जी को समर्थन करना चाहिए।
The BJP also questioned the Speaker's decision to grant Leader of Opposition status to the JDU.
जनता दल यूनाइटेड के लोगों ने बिहार में केवल अपने अहंकार को लेकर के सारे लोकतांत्रिक प्रतिमानों को तोड़ा है।
The BJP strategy seems to be decided. It is not keen to see Manjhi to win the trust vote in any case, given that faces accusations of poor governance and routinely makes controversial statements. But by backing him in an election year, the BJP could get itself political mileage by being seen to back a Mahadalit who belongs to one of the most underprivileged caste in Bihar.
अपने विधायकों को जरूर आप समझाने का प्रयास कीजिए कि जब गरीबों की बात हो रही है और गरीबों की संख्या 80% है, तो आप मंत्री बनने के लिए अगर जाना चाहते हैं तो जीतन मांझी के पास भी मंत्री का बहुत सा पद है, आइए हम मंत्री बना देंगे।
The JDU is of course blaming BJP for engineering the political crisis in the state.
दिल्ली की लिखी हुई स्क्रिप्ट को ही बिहार भाजपा इंप्लीमेंट कर रही है। सब श्री अमित शाह के इशारे पर हो रहा है।
In the 243-member Bihar Assembly with an effective strength of 233, JDU has 110 MLAs including the Speaker. One attached member is Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi. BJP has 87, RJD has 24, Congress 5, CPI 1, Independent 5, while 10 seats are vacant. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Israel's defense minister is in India with a focus on pitching sales of Israeli arms during the ongoing Aero India show in Bengaluru. Moshe Yaalon met Prime Minister Modi and held talks on regional and bilateral issues. With Israel being India's largest arms supplier after Russia, the visit is seen as symbolic of deepening India-Israel defense trade ties.
An increasingly close commercial and political relationship that has taken greater shape over the last 9 months of the Modi government. Israel looks to boost trade in India in response to potential trade sanctions in Europe. India is keen to buy cutting-edge Israeli arms and access new technology for its armed forces. India is among Israel's biggest customers for unarmed drones. Under Modi, Israel and India have pushed ahead with the joint development of an aerial defense system. In October, India opted to buy Rafale's Spike anti-tank guided missile. In October, India opted to buy Rafale's Spike anti-tank guided missile in a deal worth $525 million, choosing the Israeli product over a US offer of its Javelin missiles. There's a large Israeli contingent led by Yalon at the ongoing Aero India Aviation Show at Bengaluru. Israeli companies cite freedom from international traffic in arms regulations, ITAR, that is a hurdle in India's arms trade with the US, and they look for a springboard from there.
We have few very nice, promising projects in India. Some of them we managed to get directly with Indian companies, some of them through Israeli bigger companies. And we see that India is a nice growing market, not only in military, also in industry, and we want to be part of it.
New Delhi is now the largest buyer of Israeli military equipment, while Israel is India's largest customer after Russia. A rise in FDI limits in defense opens up new doors in the trade relationship. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Time for a quick break here, but still to come. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is set to leave Bangladesh. The Teesta water sharing agreement likely to be central to the visit.
Tradition dating back centuries. A cultural heritage that inspires and warms at once. Magic that awes. Rajya Sabha Television brings you events that embrace the wonders of India's classical arts. Conversations with the biggest names in the culture and music. Rajya Sabha Television, democracy at work.
Welcome back to the news at 6. Let's get you more national news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched the Soil Health Card scheme at a function in Rajasthan's Suratgarh town. Around 14 crore soil health cards will be issued over the next 3 years to help improve productivity with appropriate use of nutrients. Modi called for focusing attention on the health of soil in agricultural lands to boost productivity and bring prosperity to farmers. He also described agriculture as a key to poverty eradication. Modi also gave the slogan of Swasth Dhara, Khet Hara on the occasion.
मैंने अभी नीति आयोग के तहत सभी राज्यों को अपने अपने राज्य में कृषि के लेके एक हाई पावर कमेटी बनाने के लिए कहा है, एक्सपर्ट कमेटी बनाने के लिए कहा है। नीति आयोग को भी मैंने कहा है कि वो भी एक एक्सपर्ट कमेटी बनाए, राज्य अपने राज्य की कृषि समस्याओं को लेकर के हमें हमारे कृषि विकास को परंपरागत कृषि पद्धतियों से बदलना पड़ेगा। अब इसके लिए वैज्ञानिक तौर तरीकों को अपनाना पड़ेगा।
Meanwhile, in the capital, relief from the Supreme Court for social activist Teesta Setalvad and her husband Javed Anand. The Gujarat police has been directed today not to arrest the couple in the alleged fund embezzlement case in connection to the Gulbarg riots victims' museum. The apex court reserved its order and asked the Gujarat police's intention to arrest the couple, asking why there's a need of custodian interrogation in the case. The Supreme Court, however, directed Setalvad and Anand to provide all details of donors to the Gujarat police.
Hearing the matter for some time, the court has reserved its judgment in the matter, but has made it clear to the government of Gujarat that this is not a case where there needs to be any custodial interrogation and therefore any arrest.
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be in Bangladesh for a 3-day visit to strengthen relations between Bangladesh and her state. She will also attend the historical Bhasha Divas Dhaka. The visit is expected to result in a breakthrough in settling the Tista Water Sharing Pact and approval of the Land Boundary Agreement. Mamata is slated to meet Bangladesh President Abdul Hamid and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina besides holding talks with the Foreign Minister. Significantly, this will be her first visit to Bangladesh after taking charge as the Chief Minister in May 2011. And now let's get you more updates from across the country in Nationwide. The indigenously developed nuclear-capable Prithvi-2 surface-to-surface missile was test-fired today from Chandipur in Odisha. With a strike range of 350 kilometers, Prithvi-2 is capable of carrying 500 to 1,000 kilograms of warheads and is propelled by liquid propulsion twin engines. The missile also uses advanced inertial guidance system with maneuvering trajectory. Prithvi-2 is the first missile to have been developed by the DRDO under the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. Bidding continues for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's name-striped suit in Surat in Gujarat. The bidding price is now shot up to 1.25 crore rupees. The Bandkala suit is among 455 items gifted to the PM that are being auctioned to raise money for the Clean Ganga project. 7 people, including 4 police personnel, were injured when a bomb exploded near a crowded marketplace in Imphal in Manipur. A team of police officials found a bag containing a bomb-like object which exploded within seconds. No individual or group has claimed responsibility for the incident. The tourist resorts of Gulmarg and Pahalgam in Kashmir experienced fresh snowfall today. Meanwhile, other parts of the valley received intermittent rains for the 4th consecutive day. The Met Department has said the cold spell will continue till early next week. Gulmarg received around 3 feet of snowfall, while Pahalgam recorded 4 centimeters of fresh snow during the night. The top international story in Ukraine has now called on to the UN to deploy its peacekeepers to ensure that the fragile ceasefire in the country holds. This as Germany continued efforts to push for peace in the country and the US stepped up the blame on Russia for arming rebels. Here's more.
Ukraine's military pulls out troops from strategic town of Debaltseve. This follows a massive assault by pro-Russian rebels who are still violating the ceasefire to seize the railway hub. Over 2,500 Ukrainian soldiers had withdrawn from Debaltseve on Wednesday. At an emergency security meeting on Wednesday, Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko mailed an appeal to call the UN peacekeepers to enforce the ceasefire, which is on the brink of collapse. The OSCE monitors are still denied access to the border areas.
Після прийняття сьогоднішнього рішення, я сподіваюся, воно сьогодні буде прийнято, ми розпочинаємо офіційну роботу, звернення до наших партнерів, офіційні консультації, які зможуть забезпечити мир.
On the international front, a conflict of opinion persists. Germany says it will work with Russia to enforce peace in Ukraine. The US has warned Russia to stop backing the separatist attacks on border areas.
The Secretary urged Russia to secure access to Debaltseve for OSCE monitors who have been blocked from performing their responsibilities, according to Minsk agreements Russia signed in February and last September.
In violence-hit areas of Ukraine, the locals just suffer on with or without a ceasefire in place. In Debaltseve, claimed to be fully under control of rebels, residents are left without electricity and water.
Говорили перемирие, а каждый день стрельба идет. И вот когда они восстановят? Ничего уже нету в Солиорске, полностью разбитый город.
The refusal of rebel groups to even pay lip service to halt the advance at Debaltseve have put West in a predicament. Western powers will have to decide whether to take more steps against Russia for violating the ceasefire or place more emphasis on restoring the crumbling truce. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
US President Barack Obama on Wednesday said that the US is not at war with Islam but with those who have perverted the religion. In fact, Obama was addressing the 3-day event at the White House on strengthening non-military measures to combat terrorism at the backdrop of the recent attacks in Denmark and France. Representatives from 60 nations attended the event. He went on to say that those heading terrorist outfits like the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda were not religious leaders but terrorists. Obama has asked the Congress formally to authorize military force against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria.
Terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIL deliberately target their propaganda in the hopes of reaching and brainwashing young Muslims, especially those who may be disillusioned or wrestling with their identity. That's the truth. By violent extremism, we don't just mean the terrorists who are killing innocent people, we also mean the ideologies, the infrastructure of extremists, the propagandists, the recruiters, the funders who radicalize and recruit or incite people to violence.
And now let's get you more international updates in Global Buzz. Swiss authorities launched a search in the British banking giant's HSBC Geneva's office as part of an inquiry in alleged money laundering. The prosecutors opened the probe against the bank, following allegations that the bank helped clients evade millions of dollars in taxes. The investigation could be extended to people suspected of committing or participating in money laundering. Thailand's former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra has been indicted for negligence for her role in a controversial rice subsidy scheme. Thailand's Attorney General pressed criminal charges against the ex-PM in the Supreme Court. If found guilty, she could be jailed for up to 10 years. Yingluck was removed by a court in May 2014, shortly before the military ousted her elected government. Thousands of people marched in the Argentinian capital Buenos Aires to mark 1 month since the death of prosecutor Alberto Nisman. The silent march was called by prosecutors demanding a full investigation in the case. Nisman was found dead in his apartment on the 18th of January this year. He was investigating Argentina's deadliest terrorist attack, the 1994 bombing of the Amia Jewish Center. Countries across Asia have begun the Lunar New Year celebrations to welcome the Year of the Sheep. People flock to temples on the first day to pray for good luck. In China, hundreds of millions of people traveled home in what is considered the world's biggest annual human migration. Lunar New Year is the longest and most important holiday season in the Chinese calendar. Another break here, and on the other side, our special series on expectations from the union budget. And today we are focusing on the healthcare sector.
More autonomy to the Indian Institutes of Information Technology. Bihar to get another central university and the schools of planning and architecture. Now at par with the likes of IIMs and IITs.
How do you see the things improving from here on?
I think one of the best provisions of the bill is enhanced autonomy.
Watch Law of the Land, 3 bills on higher education. This Saturday at 6:30 p.m. only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. Time now to get you our special series focusing on the union budget. With being around the corner, experts in the health fields feel that the government will not pay mere lip service to the goal of health for all, and they want the upcoming budget to focus by also bringing on tax reduction in health insurance and free services to the poor.
To move towards health for all, 2 key initiatives, that is the free drug service and free diagnostic service, would be taken up on a priority.
With an annual spending of just 1.4% of GDP on healthcare, the World Health Organization ranks India's healthcare system at a lowly 112 among 190 countries. Nowhere near the lofty goal of health for all that the Finance Minister announced in Union Budget 2014-15.
When we say health for all, it would also emphasize on reliable delivery mechanisms of healthcare services, the infrastructure behind it, the resources, the manpower beneath all this. So it's a huge complex program then. It's very, in one single line we would conclude that health for all, but how do we achieve it? Where are the pharmacists? Where are the lab technicians? Where are the X-ray technicians? Where are the nurses? Where are the doctors?
At 35,163 crore rupees, allocation for the health and family welfare sector in the 2014-15 budget marked a hike of 27%, but towards late December, media reports said fiscal strains were forcing the government to cut nearly 20% in its 2014-15 healthcare budget.
All the different insurance schemes like the CGHS, the Employed State Insurance Scheme, the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, all of them should be integrated into one scheme so that every citizen gets the same kind of service.
Health professionals feel the government can't afford a shrinking health budget, not only when it puts at risk key disease control initiatives, but also when the country needs a good insurance scheme to make services affordable and accessible.
Government is planning to transfer more money to these states. That is, Finance Commission's share of taxes will increase from 32% to 42%. It will mean that the centrally sponsored programs that are being run, they would be short by 1 lakh crores. At the same time, states will get untied grant of additional 1 lakh crores.
In order to be in line with other developing economies, experts feel healthcare allocation should go up to at least 5% of the GDP. The government wants to launch an ambitious universal healthcare program this year.
Given that China spends 3% GDP and the United States 8.3% on health, experts hope that the government will do better than previous years in setting aside higher allocation for the sector. With camera person Sudipta Das, this is Anshu Jay Singh for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you news from the ongoing Cricket World Cup. Zimbabwe chased their highest World Cup total to record a 4-wicket win over United Arab Emirates in the Pool B match today. Qualifiers UAE were appearing for the first time in the World Cup since 1996. Batting first, they posted their highest ODI score of 285 for 7, with Sheman Anwar top scoring with 67 runs. In reply, Zimbabwe started slowly but continued with persistence to chase down the target with 12 balls to spare. Sean Williams scored a well-constructed 76 and added 83 runs for the 6th wicket, with Craig Irwin to lead them to a 4-wicket victory.
बहुत अच्छी फील्डिंग, निश्चित रूप से रन बचाए और ये.
And finally, the 10-day annual Taj Mahotsav is underway at Shilpgram near the Taj Mahal. Some 350 stalls dedicated to handicraft and handloom are a massive draw for tourists. We leave you with these pictures. Have a great evening.